Hi, this is Ben, and I'm the founder of Ben Community. Today, I'm talking with my
Sweetheart.
first, yes, my first guest. And this is the first episode of Ben Community podcast. At Ben Community, we are trying to help international students to gain and acquire transferable skills to navigate their career paths effectively. And a few days ago, I was talking with Shea, and I found that she has lots of experiences and knowledge and insights to share with us. That's why I invited her to talk about main insights to share with us. So, why you are here, Shay?
Well, I think it's because I run a nonprofit that supports migrants and foreigners that um, are living in the Netherlands but are currently unemployed and are struggling to find work because cultural differences or not understanding the Dutch labor market or some simple things and some big things. Um, and I think I can help. Well, at least we've been helping people for since 2017 now. So
Yeah, you are talking about Empowerment Foundation.
correct.
Great. And what I know, you already had lots of other experiences as well. Would you like to explain a little bit more?
Oh, my background.
Yeah.
Okay, so my background is pretty diverse. I've worked mostly within financial institutions. I'm from America. I'm from New York, and I worked in America. I worked at Chase Bank, which and NatWest, Fleet Bank, a bunch of banks, and then in the Netherlands, I worked for ING, Robert, no RBS, and ABN AMRO. And a lot of my career was in human resources, where we worked on talent management, which was my special talent, my special talent, working with talents, helping them to grow in their careers, and also as it aligned with the organization, of course. And I also did a lot of project management, which was a big part of my later career within financial institutions, in terms of being a program manager for government regulations or software implementation, things like that. So I was kind of diverse in the types of topics I did. I also did communications as well and marketing.
Mhm.
I was, yeah, there's no one straight line. My career path is not linear. So I understand when people are making changes and adjusting their careers. And I know what that looks like. I know how to do it. I've done it. I've reinvented myself many, many times and I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I think that also plays a part.
Yeah, plus supporting women in STEM, I think you forgot
Oh
to
yeah,
mention.
hi. There's so many things. I definitely support women in STEM. From there, we're looking to help women in leadership because we
Yeah.
want to see more diversity in leadership, and also helping them become their own entrepreneurs. And I believe in the entrepreneur journey. I think it's such a free experience. It's not for everyone, I know,
Uh-huh.
but it is so liberating for me to not be attached to organization.
Good, great. So, 20 years ago, you moved to Netherlands, right?
Correct. Correct.
And after that, as you mentioned, you had lots of experiences. And now I want to talk about some main points
Yeah.
which are helpful for international students, because as you know, there are lots of international students living and studying in the Netherlands. That's why, based on your background, I prefer to start with networking skills.
Oh, yeah.
This is my first point I want to ask you. Why is networking crucial for international students, especially in a new country? Because, like the Netherlands.
Right.
And can you share some strategies or tips and tricks which are effective for networking as well for international students?
Yeah. I can. I think first we should talk about what networking is because for many people, they think it's going around, they feel like it's almost like cold calling if you call some random person up and ask them to buy your product. But I don't view networking that way. I genuinely like people. I'm genuinely curious about people. So I look at it as making new friends, and I look at it as finding out about how, just curiosity, finding out about people. So when I approach networking, I don't even call it that. I just like, oh, I'm going to meet some new people. I'm going to learn something new. I step into it with curiosity. I'm genuinely curious about how people are doing the things that they're doing, how they got here, what was their career like. It's almost a little bit like I'm a journalist in my own way. I'm getting the story. I'm getting the juicy story. And I like being surprised. People come in here with different ideas and they have different paths, and it's kind of inspiring to see how they overcome things. And I approach those friendships not as what can they do for me, but I want to connect with them, but also maybe I can help them. Maybe there's something I can do to help them. It's more of a give for me, and maybe down the line I can get something in return. But that is how I view networking, and that's helped me quite a lot with my career. I have never applied for a job and gotten it. Never. I've applied for jobs my whole life. I've never gotten it. Most of my career I get because I know someone. And when that happens, I don't go through the recruitment process the way everyone else does. I don't do the 5 stages of hiring. I might not even see the recruiter. I almost jumped the line because I've created a relationship where people feel like they know me and they trust me and they're excited to give me a chance.
Which means, what do you think is building that friendship as well as making trust and building your network help you to access the opportunities, right?
Yeah, definitely. This is not an overnight thing. It's not. It takes time. I am willing to put time aside to have an hour coffee with people, not for something that's going to happen now. I mean, I'm old enough now to realize the things that I did just making friends have helped me a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later. I have people in my network who only call on me.
It's kind of long-term investment.
It is. It's like real estate.
Yeah, great. So I'd like to hear more about any common challenge or the things like that international students may face when they are networking.
Yeah.
And you think how they can overcome these kind of challenges.
Okay. One of the first challenges I often hear is they feel like they're begging. This sense of, I need a job. I'm going to beg someone for a job. This is not, and it feels uncomfortable. A lot of that comes from cultural background. Not asking for help is pretty popular one, and there's a shame in not having a job, which is unfortunate because the only way to get the job is to tell people you need the job, and if you don't tell anyone, how do you get the job? It becomes a cycle. So the way to come through that, and this is very hard, but really changing your mindset and that you're not asking anyone for anything. They're either going to want you or not. You're not going to ask them for anything. And also reminding yourself that you are worthy of this and they should want you because you're a badass. Sorry, can I curse? You're a badass. Okay. And so going in there, like, I'm curious about this person and what they do. What I've done with other people is arrange meetings with people just to talk. And what happens when you're just talking is someone says, you go in there and you say, hi, I'm Shea, and you ask them who they are, they say their name, and then you start by asking questions. So what do you do? How do you know so-and-so? What is it in this job? It would be unnatural for, in that situation, the other person doesn't ask you, about what you're doing, how you got here. If that happens, don't worry, this is not the person for you. You can cut that interview or that meeting or that coffee short and say, thank you so much. Nice meeting you, and move on. If they're not interested in asking you about you without you saying, okay, now's my chance to speak, this is not a network. This is not the right person. When they're asking you about you, now's your chance to say, and this is very key, talk about your life in a positive note. There is a thing sometimes that it's imposter syndrome or something your mom said about you or your dad said about you or your teacher said about you that is making you put yourself lower than you are. All you have to do is share your story. They're just interested in your story without you saying like, yeah, that was bad. Oh, I really messed up there. No one, they don't need to hear that. You don't know them well enough to share all your, lows. You could just tell them the story of who you are, where you're at, and where you want to be. I think people often forget where I want to be as part of the story.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of the approach you talked about, using storytelling, I think one of the good opportunity could be using online platforms for networking. How can students leverage online platforms for any kind of networking? Do you have any experience
Yes.
you want to share with us?
I send people messages. I take a look at their profile. I look if there's anything that sparks my interest that I'm curious about. And then I look for anything that we might have in common, either a friend or somewhere they went to school or something they studied. It could be really minute. And then I send them a message. Hello, Ben. I saw your profile. It's really interesting. I see that you're into communities. It's kind of one of my values as well. I'd love to have a talk with you and maybe just get to know you and join your network. There's a little bit of humbleness and curiosity and also giving them praise. I get messages online all the time, and I can tell that they didn't read my profile. They saw my title and that was it. They know nothing about me. I'm not interested because I'm taking the time to look at your profile when you message me. I am expecting the same, effort in return.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. So let's jump to another topic which is related to the things we already talked about effective communication skills, because when you are approaching others, you need to know how, when, approach them. In terms of communication skills for accessing to career opportunity or anything like that, what are the main points you want to share with us?
Well, in terms of communication skills, check your work. It's like a major thing. A lot of people, and it's a small thing, but a lot of people forget to check what they wrote and things that they say. Or another thing, they copy and paste what they wrote to someone else, and it's not relevant. It's not relatable anymore. It's just a simple thing. It's such a small thing, but people forget it all the time. The other thing is understanding who you're writing to. Are you writing to the manager? Are you writing to someone you're trying to meet? Like, who's your audience? And if you're not a copywriter, you might not understand that, but that is understanding who's going to read it and how are they going to read it? How do they understand what you're saying? The other thing is just really be clear. If English is your second or third language, just get right to the point. Don't try to make it flowery. Nobody wants to, you don't have to impress them with your vocabulary. Just get right to the point. Be super clear and straightforward. The other thing I would say is, and this is a hard thing for some people, but at the end, ask them for a coffee, ask for something. Don't just send it without like, oh, it's so nice talking to you. I mean, it's so nice. This is me. Okay, bye-bye. More that I would love to have a coffee with you. Would you mind giving me some advice on something or whatever it is that you're looking for?
Exactly. What is the next step?
What's the next step? Because the first step is just you contacting them and sending them a message. Then now, what do you want them to do with this now?
Yeah, the point is it's really important to think about this kind of stuff as a long-term activity. It's not just, okay, this is one deal shot.
Yes. Most people trust you after, and I read this somewhere or someone had told me, 7 connections. So it's either because if you're following them online, because you liked something that they had, you commented is another, those are just one. But if you meet them, that gives you 3 to 5 points because now they have a sense of who you are. They have a sense of your energy, of, what you're putting out into the world.
Yeah, right. Great. So, I also want to ask you about any kind of communication barriers international students might face. Because you already mentioned something related how to deliver your message, try to be direct and share the main point and things like that, which means also it's a good idea to talk about cultural differences and intercultural competencies and things like that. I think you have lots of things to share with us in terms of your background, so what you already did. Also, 20 years ago, you moved to Netherlands. Definitely in the beginning, you faced some issues in terms of, for example, coping with the new culture, new context.
Yeah.
Would you like to share more with us?
Yeah, cultural is, it's a big step because you have to let go of what you know. And if you've been raised in your own culture for 20, 30 years, and now there's a new culture, it takes time for you to shift. You have to shift some of your thinking. I think the experience of living abroad is such a great opening for the brain because you have to think differently. So that does not mean that the people in the country that you're visiting are thinking differently. Because they haven't left their country. They're still in their way of doing things exactly the way they've done. They have not experienced the shift and change that you have. Not everyone, but a lot of them. And so they have their biases, and it can be anything from your height to the color of your hair, if you're ginger hair, which I didn't know was a thing here until I moved to Europe, this ginger thing. It could be your last name, your background. There are some things that might be very overt because it's a last name, and other things could be they had a bad experience with someone from your country when they were a child, or something happened to them personally. Those things, you cannot know all of them, and you're not going to overcome all of them from everyone. You're just not. And some things it just is. Someone has a bias. Okay, close that door, move on to the next one. This is where, for me, is when networking comes in to overcoming biases, just trying to get to know people and asking them to take the time to get to know you. And hopefully that helps overcome any of those blocks or barriers from cultural biases. And also, I ask a lot of questions of people. Just, what does this mean when you do this? Why do you keep doing this symbol with your hand under the elbow? What is that? Why is your hand waving by your ear? What's that mean? What are you doing? What does it mean, the cat in the tree? What is that? I'm genuinely curious. I want to know. I want to understand. And I think when you're a student, you're still in that space where you are curious. So use that. And you're in another country. I think the people who suffer the most are the people who are not willing to let go of their own culture. Not the values. Keep the values. That is who you are. But the way of doing things, you can let go of. You can let go of some of them.
Yeah, and asking questions means you are interested to listen deeply, and after that, try to, in fact, accept who you are and also who they are, and how I can make a bridge between these two sides of the river, right?
Yeah.
So, for making that bridge, do you have any tips and tricks to share for international students? I mean, for overcoming these kind of cultural differences effectively, and after that, for example, starting building new friendship and new connections with people from other countries, from other cultures?
I think that's it took me a long time to make Dutch friends. A really long time to get through their barrier, which is, to me, coming from America, I thought their barriers were quite high. I come from New York, where we're the place of multinational people, so everyone's pretty open. But here, the Dutch were a little bit more, just because we work together doesn't mean we're going to meet each other on the weekends. You're my colleague. work people, work friends are work friends, and everything else is outside of work.
Yeah.
They have a strict line, which in a one way, it's quite admirable. It keeps them to, separate when work is done, it's done, which is good. I think that's a good quality. But if you're trying to make friends, you have to be patient and wait. And yeah, you kind of wait with them. With other cultures that are here, it's much easier because we're kind of all in the same pot. We're foreigners. And for many of us, it's the first time we've been a foreigner. We've been living in our home country. We weren't a foreigner. We didn't have to experience this. Come to a new country, and suddenly my best friend is Italian, and another one is Austrian, and what do you call it? Another one is from South Africa. The depth of my friendship is much bigger. Even coming from New York, where we're so multicultural, I still feel like I had more international friends here than I did there.
Yeah, but still my question is there. How can I adopt and integrate also with this culture? Because you're right. You are approaching other people from other countries' cultures, but in terms of
Connecting to
connecting to Dutch culture, yeah.
the Dutch culture.
Especially, for example, for people like you, because 20 years ago you moved to
Yeah.
the Netherlands, and now, after 20 years, you are still here. You
Yeah.
already started your business and things like that. For international students, if they have any plan for a long term to stay here, working here, living here,
How do you get it?
it's really important, yeah.
Okay. Your neighbors, the first people I started with. And then secondly, I started with the small shopkeepers. So my local bakery, my local florist, and with them, there was like an unspoken agreement that they knew I was trying to learn Dutch, and they would only speak Dutch to me. So some of my most basic Dutch, and they were so patient with me. They were so kind. They just kept, and they never let me switch to English, which I'm forever grateful for, because even though my Dutch isn't fluent in the office setting, on the street, when I go to a store or a restaurant, I feel super confident about it. Those were two ways that I did it: the neighbors and the shopkeepers, local businesses. They're much more patient, I think. The other thing I did was I would go networking at places that were, more Dutch setting than which was very challenging because my language skills were not at a place of having those deeper conversations. But I kept going, and I did meet a couple of people through those experiences. Not as many as I would have liked in the beginning, but I did meet a few people that were impressed that I was there and that I was trying, and they respected that. So it gave me an opening there. I have children, so that was another door that gave me access to the Dutch culture. So I met a lot of Dutch parents, and we would do things together. Our kids would do things together. So that gave me another door into Dutch culture. I also would go to what do you call it? There used to be, and I don't know if it's still out there, but there used to be a volunteer group of Dutch people who wanted to give foreigners an opportunity to practice their language skills. And I would go there. And there I kind of made a few friends, and they were sympathetic to me trying to integrate. So that helped a lot as well. I think those are the main things. Oh, working at a Dutch company. While challenging, it was very helpful. I did not enjoy it personally, but I do see the value that I got out of it. I prefer international spaces, I decided, but I did go in there open-minded, trying to make new friends and meet new people. And there are definitely things that I enjoyed, but it's just another way.
Great, thank you. Now I just wanted to talk about also another interesting concept, because I'm personally really interested in that, as well as I think you are doing something in terms of the things at Empowerment Foundation, which is community building.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems one of the main things can help us a lot. I mean, for all people, specifically for international students, to find some communities to engage more, which means community building should be one of the main skills they need to
Yeah.
learn about more. May I ask you to explain a little bit more about what is community building, why it's important,
Yeah.
especially for international students,
Yeah.
and how can effective communication help in building a supportive community? Because you know that the main reason of community is that sense of support. I think also you had lots of experiences at Empowerment Foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are different types of community. There's the community where you connect over culture. There's a community where you connect over interests, hobbies. And the community that we built at Empowerment is about being in a situation at that moment in your life there where we are talking about people who are unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
And we give them support and guidance and community so they know they're not alone. I think when you're an international student, you can probably belong to a few different communities because you'll have different needs that you want to get from there. When you're building your own community, start with what you know and what's interesting to you, whether it's a topic or the culture or what have you. Start there is a much easier place to go. And communicating, I think it needs to be very clear what people can get out of the community that you're building. What are you offering? And it takes that work to foster trust between the members so they will help each other, because that's what makes the community strong. Not that you're giving all the help and support and advice and blah, 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 but that they're getting it from each other as well.
So, which means at the same time, people need to think how to get something, but also how they can give something.
Yeah. Build something, how they can give something, and how they empower others to give. You really have to get other people to feel, because those become your active members, and they'll bring in more people. They'll bring in more community. They'll bring in, the more people you have, the more you can help each other.
Yeah, it's kind of sharing the resources to gain more also as well, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about one of the things you are really interested in and you have lots of experience, which is coaching and mentoring. Because I think, in terms of the insights and experiences you shared, you also try to help people in terms of that coaching and mentoring to learn how to cope with those challenges as well. But before that, I prefer to ask you about a specific concept, which is self-coaching. Because, you know, all the time we are now accessing to find a person to help us to talk about our issues or the things like that. Sometimes even in the beginning, it's a little bit difficult for international students to find a person here, for example, in the Netherlands, to ask them to share their challenges with them, which means maybe sometimes if we know how to use this skill, which is self-coaching, it helps a lot to, at least in the beginning, to do the things in a better way. Yeah. Would you like to share some main points how we can gain more or learn more about self-coaching?
I think, well, my experience with self-coaching is it's a little, for me, it's going beyond the voice in your head or controlling the voice in your head. Sometimes it's negative and where you want it to be positive, and rewriting whatever message you're already telling yourself. So the first step is figuring out where you're struggling. And that's often not as obvious to you when you start doing this. I often advise people to just write down, or even at the very basic level, just pay attention to the thoughts you're having. Are they more negative than positive? If you can just figure that part out first, that's already a big step, because now you're in awareness. And then identify, what is it that you want to change? Is it something because self-coaching is about changing yourself internally, things that are going on. So are you trying to gain more confidence? Are you trying to be more positive? What is it that you're trying to do?
Mhm.
And then going from there, identify awareness, making a plan, creating a goal for yourself where you want to be, and then creating some steps and holding yourself accountable. It's often as simple as hiring a journal or a diary or somewhere where you take notes, like, this is what I did today to get to where I'm trying to go.
Great. And can you share any resources or tools which are available for students, for example, or anyone, who are interested in this kind of
Self-coaching.
self-coaching? Yeah, maybe any book, article, I don't know, a TED Talk. Maybe you already shared something on your blog or...
I'll have to look, but I can see what I have. Off the top of my head, I will share some with you. Yes.
Yeah, great. Yeah, if you will share it later on, we can share on our social media channels as well.
Yep.
But there is nothing specifically to share for now.
No, not specifically other people's tools. No. No. The bullet journal is something I've used for accountability, for your own accountability. But that's the only other tool that comes right to mind for that.
So this is my last point, but not least, to talk about, which is usually people have no idea what is the difference between a coach and a mentor.
Okay.
And you already almost did both. I want to ask you to a little bit explain who is coach, who is mentor, what is the difference between these two ones. And finally, maybe you can share in what situation people need to think to approach to which these two ones.
Okay. So coaching is about coaching and mentorship is quite similar in terms of there's something that you want to do or a goal you want to obtain and you're looking for support. With a mentor, they're giving you their personal experience and giving you their advice. They might have a very intimate relationship, whatever, with what you're trying to obtain. Think of it in terms of, I'm looking for someone to help me break into the oil industry. And there you would get a mentor for that, or someone where you want to advance your academic career. And then you would look for a mentor there. Coaching, on the other hand, is about, it's more, I think the difference, you also start thinking about coaching versus therapy, where therapy is talking about why something happened to you, and coaching focuses on the present and moves you through to the future. So there, you're looking at different topics where you've been trying to solve some things yourself and you're stuck. This is when you get a coach. It could be goals that you want to set and you're not able to achieve them. It could be trying to overcome imposter syndrome. It could be if you're looking at your career, you've done everything, done the CV, done your interviews, and something is still missing. So what a coach will do is help you look at where it is that you're still blocked or where it is that it's not working, and then help you get through that through goal setting, really. Whereas a mentor will probably do some goal setting, but that's not their goal. Their mission is to give you information and guidance that you, in a particular subject that you might not have gotten from somewhere else. Of course, there are people that probably do a bit of both. That always happens, but that's generally...
I've had lots of experiences in terms of being coach and coachee and mentor and mentee all over once. And what I found, it's really important, for coaches and also mentees to know how to build a successful or a strong relationship with a mentor or with a coach. Sometimes even we can say it's more about the people who are seeking or talking with coach and mentors. I want to ask you to share some tips which are helpful for international students for build that connection, and that's a strong relationship
Yeah.
with mentors or with coaches in the Netherlands, or even maybe anywhere, because hopefully internet is there. And
Yeah.
now you are in Amsterdam, I'm in the north of Netherlands, and we are talking.
um, okay, so building a strong relationship with a mentor, that I I find that it often differs from person to person. But some core things that I found often works is when you're getting advice from someone, that you at least make an attempt to act on it. And if you're not going to act on it, explain why. Because it makes sense for them to know why that wasn't good advice for you and why that didn't resonate for you. Oftentimes, if you're ever a mentor and you give someone advice and they don't do it and they don't do it and they don't do it, it often feels like a waste of time. You're putting energy and time for someone else, and they're not giving the often the mentee giving back is taking the advice and doing something with it, or giving the feedback that says that advice wouldn't work for me because of something else. I think that builds the relationship when you're with a mentor, that relationship between mentee and coach. Also, mentors learn a lot from their mentees. Being open about yourself and what you go through and sharing your experience, the mentor-mentee relationship is often a give-give. And you can speak to many mentors.
Two-way
It's a two-way street.
communication.
Yes. You can speak to many mentors and they'll say that they learn a lot from their mentees. They get a lot from it. It's not a one-way street.
Interesting. I almost ask all of my questions. Definitely we can go for deep, but the point is we decided to talk about 40, 50 minutes. Maybe in the future we will do more. But for now, I have two questions. The first one, if people, because this is the first episode of our podcast, I just decided last week to start something, and I shared with you, and you accepted too. So I can thank you a lot.
Welcome.
But if people who are listening to us later, they want to find you, maybe approach you, except the LinkedIn, do you have any other channels, or I don't know, anything that you can share with us? Yeah.
I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, but I'm not as active on Twitter. But my Instagram is Social Impact Advocate. And there I'm going more the inspiration, motivational route with the content I share. So you can send me a message there. I'm always open to meeting people. It doesn't cost me much to have a 30-minute conversation with someone online. I love it, and I'm happy to do it most of the time.
Which means if anyone wants to talk with you, they can check your LinkedIn profile, and there's a link there. And right.
If they send me a message, I think there's a link on the profile, but you can also just send me a message if it's not there. I'm happy to help anyone.
Great. And is there any last words, or final words, or any advice you want to share with international students that I forgot to ask or talked about?
There's nothing that you forgot to ask. I think you asked good questions. I just want to remind people, if you're an international student living here, don't give up. Don't forget who you are. You got here for a reason. You're meant to be here. You're meant to get something out of this experience. And keep going. Keep asking questions. Keep being curious. Keep making friends. Keep meeting people. And also, there is no shame if you want to or have to go back home. It just means you have to regroup and come back out again if that's what you want. But there is no mistake in the journey. There's nothing that's going wrong. Everything is going in your favor. You just can't see it right now. And it feels bad. That's okay. It'll get better.
Nice. Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that point. And thanks a lot for your time. I appreciate it. I learned a lot. Hopefully, in the future also, we will do more in terms of the shared values we are following. You at the Empowerment Foundation, we at Benue Community.
Hmm.
And thanks for all those who are listening in the future to this episode. And I really want to ask them if they think it's helpful for others to listen to your advice, your insights, share the link with their friends, as well as share us their feedback. Thank you again. Thank you
Thank you.
again. I learned a lot and I enjoyed.
Thank you.